all of you also, that whenever you talk about environment, whenever you talk about population increase, whenever you talk about malnutrition, stunting, unemployment, the media is never attracted towards that news. But whenever there are mortalities, whenever there is a death, whenever there is an emergency because as a resultant of these indicators, the media gets alert and alarmed. So I think media has a very, very important role. And we have seen that in Millennium Development Goals, the SAARC region, how they performed, there are case studies, there are lessons learned, and yes, through media, one of the mediums can be to share these lessons learned amongst the countries. Sustainable Development Goal is another challenge that we as a country have, and you as a media also have, because there's a very important component of Sustainable Development Goals that deals with awareness raising through media tools and dynamics. So I would also recommend the organizers to really, one of the sessions while you are here from different countries, rich experience of media fraternity around this region are here so that they can ponder upon this, they can peruse different areas and give us recommendations to the countries of this region and how to go about it, because we should start talking about it. If communication and media communication is without people's communication, I think it will never be result oriented. So dialogue in conflict resolution is a key, and that is what I think we need to look at also. Secondly, I would like to also mention here is that in Pakistan, we are going through a very defining moment where the country is, for the first time in the history of Pakistan, is completing 10 years of democracy in last 70 years. So that's heartening for people of Pakistan, and what we see as, because when there is democracy, there is a constant conflict resolution for the people of that very country. And the media in Pakistan is a free media, but media these days also in Pakistan is going through challenging times. And why? Because as democracy is evolving, the institutions are evolving, the institutions are trying to have their space felt into different roles. And so the media landscape in Pakistan is also evolving, and there are code of conducts, there are various things where we facilitate media, but media in Pakistan, of course, is very vibrant. I know you from different countries, have an idea what kind of a media we have, and we have just passed a flagship legislation, which is Right to Information Act in Pakistan for the first time through Parliament, which gives access to information to media representatives and general public to public records and everything that is part of the public information. Social media, yes, is a challenge and also an opportunity at the same time, because the youth bulge in South Asia, especially in Pakistan, where 60% of your population is youth population, so to engage them and to engage them positively is also something very important. The role of media in shaping the opinions, as Mehtab Appa just said, and is an inspiration for all of us whenever she speaks, whenever her presence in areas that are very important to media also, that the role of media in changing the perceptions and forming the perceptions, transforming the perception is very important. And the impact, what I've seen in the last 14 months and what I've been looking at in the Pakistani media since 2005-06, when other than Pakistan Television, which was a state media, other private screens were brought to front, and there's a concept of free media in Pakistan at the moment, but there is a responsibility with that freedom also. Freedom of expression, yes, there can be different rates of freedom, different dynamics of freedom in each country, but where this group together, the SAARC country groups, media groups together, also can recommend to their counterparts in other countries where there should be few principles of news has to be there, which is, I mean, I was in Davos, and this was a problem confronted with the Western world also of fake news. And the fake news, of course, is a center stage of discussion these days when it comes to conflict resolution amongst the countries where there is already a natural tendency of aggression, of tension, and the countries are already going through stress. So I think that's another area which this forum can really look at, and how this really affects the relationship between the two countries. That can be one suggestion to the conference also. Thirdly, I would like to also say that peoples-to-people contact, the bonds that you will develop by just coming to this conference amongst the media fraternity from different countries around this region, this is very special. And if you take advantage and opportunity out of this, then this cultural bond which already exists between the countries, and then the bond of dialogue, the bond of communication and peoples-to-people contact can really reshape the landscape of media of South Asia, and also can have a positive impact on conflict resolution between the two countries. CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, despite of our friendship with China for years, like for past 70 years, the cultural segment of CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, with such a large investment into the infrastructure in different areas in Pakistan, but again there was an insecurity amongst the people when this large project was coming to Pakistan, and one tool which really added value and served as a value addition to the development and economic development between the two countries was through people-to-people contact and cultural exchanges between the two countries. The media, of course, audiovisual, broadcasting, news, is print and electronic is one side, and social media, but there's another medium which is screen tourism, that's films, and taking the cultures, taking the expression of one country to the other country is another area that traditionally we don't keep in media conferences, but can be a very constructive and effective tool to engage people and also play an important role between people-to-people contact and conflict resolution for that matter. Lastly, I would just like to touch upon also that media plays a very important role, and of course is a center stage, as I said, between the countries and the conflict resolutions between the two countries also. But how effective is the representation of media when it comes to tension between the two countries is also important, and what rules of the games, as I say, and the principles can be set when it comes to population, people of the respective countries, if they are at the center stage of decision making when it comes to media or the policymakers. I think we collectively can engage and can deal with problems of South Asia. Terrorism in Pakistan terrorism around the world. In last 4.5 years, what the present government has done, and all the provincial governments, the law enforcement agencies, the armed forces, the sacrifice that Pakistani nation has given to terrorism is unprecedented. And then how we dealt with this is also unprecedented in this region. In last 4.5 years, the way we have dealt and fought terrorism war, in 2013, the average terrorist attacks in Pakistan were above 2,600 annually. And as I speak with you, they have been reduced to 160 in last 4.5 years. So there's a 92% reduction in terrorism in Pakistan in 4.5 years. These are international statistics, they are not government statistics. So there is a change. With that change, we need to also have paradigm shifts into our perceptions as well. Pakistan, when it's fighting successfully the war on terrorism, at the same time, a more challenging war is the perception war that Pakistan is facing at the moment. And with your presence in Pakistan, with the peace and stability that you see around when you're in Pakistan, you can be our ambassadors of changing that perception in your countries. Your pen, your screen can really add value to changing the perception of Pakistan. And when the South Asia region can be united on certain principles and rules of the games. I have this faith as a citizen of Pakistan that we can be a force, and we can be a force that can really change the landscape of the world.
आपको बताएं